Normally, when I cover an individual instance of crime, something that happened somewhere in the United States of America, I like for that individual instance to be representative of a broader policy failure so that there's more to the story than me just highlighting something and saying, oh my god, that was brutal, oh my god, that was crazy, or something to that effect. However, I have to be perfectly honest with you guys today. I have to be upfront because I feel like we've established that level of a relationship. When I saw a story of a mayor being arrested for burglary and thus being put in a jail that he might technically be in charge of, I couldn't resist. I had to bite on it. So today we're going to talk about the mayor of South Fulton being arrested on felony burglary charges because it's amazing. I want to talk about it. And whatever burglary is up this much percent, there's your number that you could take home with you. I don't really care. Let's get into the story after I say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to my podcast listeners on Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
And we begin with that breaking news. Turmoil in the city of South Fulton. Mayor Khalod Kamau arrested and facing felony charges.
It is not every day that you see the mayor be put in handcuffs and be taken to jail. And when that does happen, usually this is due to the fact that they've taken money in some improper way, they've spent or misallocated funding in some improper way, but this one is a straight up one-to-one burglary. This one is a straight up, this guy victimized an individual person, allegedly, theoretically, he hasn't been convicted yet, hypothetically and metaphorically, and that's why he is being led into jail, and I am all here to learn about what this mayor potentially might have stolen, and why the mayor didn't actually try to use the tax power to seal that instead of going out and doing it himself.
Eric, well, the mayor apologized when confronted by Fox 5's Deidre Dukes outside of that precinct. We know that he's now here behind bars at the Fulton County Jail. Take a listen to that exchange.
Oh snap, it is our recurring character, the fusion between Liam and Nuance Bro, local news guy out of Fox Atlanta. Hey, how you doing, sir? Nice to see you covering another story.
Mayor, why were you on that property?
I just wanted to see the house. I do apologize to the owners. I thought it was abandoned.
So the mayor's being walked out of jail, and first and foremost, I have to say, he looks relatively young. Now, I know somebody down in the comments below will say that black doesn't crack, and this guy could be 55 years old, but whatever, I'm gonna say it. He looks like a young, athletic guy, so I can understand how he could hop a fence or something like that, just based on the fact that he just looks like he's in way better shape than 99.5% of the politicians in America. Now, to the substance of what he said that he just wanted to see the house, he was just looking around, he thought that the property was unoccupied or abandoned or whatever, and that's why he peeked in, and you might think this is a dumb explanation, you might think this is a stupid explanation, but here's the thing, this could also be the case, and this actually could be a valid defense, because in the state of Georgia, burglary is entering with intent to steal, whether or not you take something or not. So if they have absolutely no evidence that this guy intended to steal something, he might actually end up walking away with a trespassing situation, which is far less fun than having the mayor be convicted of burglary, but also entirely possible. And honestly, I don't know a lot about this guy. I don't know his backstory. Considering he's the mayor, I'm assuming that it would be rather odd for somebody elected mayor to do a crime like this, especially when you have the tax power to take whatever you want. However, I would be very interested to know on whether or not this guy filed like an eminent domain thing on that property, and he was just trying to check out the property that his city was trying to steal.
Embattled South Fulton Mayor Khalod Kamau was arrested Saturday morning on charges he trespassed on this property on Cascade Palmetto Highway and committed first-degree burglary.
Now, this is where things get a little bit sketchy, because as you can see, obviously and prominently in the news segment, we have a private property indicator. Now, they also say that the homeowner held him at gunpoint and awaited for the police. Thankfully, he didn't shoot this person,
which is a felony. Sources say the property owner held Kamau at gunpoint until cops arrived, but police have yet to confirm that.
But to be clear, Georgia, like most states in the country, is a castle doctrine state, so had the homeowner actually shot somebody who entered his house illegally, a presumed burglar, this would have been considered a justified and legal shooting, even though him being the mayor, and obviously specifically being a black mayor, would have complicated this for the national headlines. Thankfully, the mayor is okay. I don't want people to die needlessly, although I do, of course, acknowledge the right of homeowners to defend their property from somebody who breaks in, because you have no idea as a homeowner when somebody is inside your home that they might not be willing to kill you for whatever they came in to get. So we have a very lucky mayor in that he might get off because he's the mayor, let's be honest, on a simple trespassing charge, and we have a doubly lucky mayor in that he didn't get shot by the homeowner, who obviously was calmer in that situation than a lot of people would be. So I'm very happy that this guy is okay, because this could be an absolutely tragic story, something that could be misinterpreted time and time again by the national media, but right now it's a goofy and fun story because, you know, it's the mayor and he got arrested for burglary. That's kind of insane.
In his mugshot at the Fulton County Jail, he smiled big. But minutes earlier, he told Fox 5's Deidre Dukes he was sorry.
I apologize for the negative attention this has brought to our city.
Look, I have not yet crafted the best way to take a mugshot. I have not yet determined whether or not you should smile, whether or not you should hold up the thing and look all angry like you definitely did do it. But I will say, this smile seems a bit absurd. He's the mayor of South Fulton. Obviously, this is going to go out to the public. Obviously, this is going to be a giant controversy. Maybe this smile of joy is indicative of something else going on in this guy's life. Not the direction I would have went with in this scenario, but then again, it's hard for me to judge considering whatever face he made at this moment was going to be plastered across by the media, and we were going to see it, and I was going to be able to find it so that I could present it to you.
His arrest is just the latest in a string of bizarre incidents in South Fulton since he took office last year.
Oh my God. These are legitimately the South Fulton police. I didn't know whether or not he was arrested by a different kind of police department or something like that, but these are the guys that are leading him to the vehicle that he works for. Mayors often appoint the police commissioner or whatever. Doesn't really matter. The point is, imagine being an employee in the police department. You go out to a burglary call, and the guy that's your boss's boss, or directly your boss, depending on the structure of the South Fulton government, is the perpetrator behind this. Imagine, again, if this would have went south, if the Castle Doctrine justification would have been enough for the homeowner to act in that scenario, and you have to go clean up a scene with, again, your boss's boss there, and they handcuff him, they perp walk him. Give credit to the police department in this regard, and honestly, give credit to the mayor, because he could have asked for, and honestly, I wouldn't have been against him receiving special treatment, considering that he's the mayor, and everybody knows who he is, and the chances that he's going to start fighting the cops or whatever are very unlikely, but he did the perp walk just like everyone else.
This past April, police shut down an Easter egg hunt he organized because he didn't have a permit.
Okay, you know what? Maybe the cops got it in for him. Maybe the cops have had it out for him. Maybe the cops have had enough of him, because they shut down an Easter egg hunt that this guy did because he didn't have a permit for that, which is kind of hilarious because permits for those kind of things are probably issued by the city, which he would be in charge of, again, even if not directly, but indirectly, but the mayor does not seem capable of following the basic rules of his own city. Absolutely hilarious in every possible way.
In March, city council members filed a lawsuit demanding his removal from office, saying he violated the city charter. In July of last year, he sued members of council, alleging they violated the Open Records Act.
I hope that the spotlight that is on our city right now will highlight some of the inequities that have been happening.
Also, this is very notable, and I'm going to address the dumb thing that he said. The cops in this thing are jacked. These guys are huge. I don't know what they're feeding them down in South Fulton, but when I think of police officers, I think of people that are bigger, but in a more rounder sense. These guys are serious business right here. I don't want to ever commit a crime in South Fulton. Absolutely not, even though the mayor might be especially sympathetic to that. Now, as for his little speech about hopefully this will highlight the inequities that are going on in South Fulton, I have no idea what this guy is talking about. He is the mayor. He appears to have broken into a residence of one of the citizens that he is a representative of, and he's like, you know, hopefully this will highlight the inequities in our lives. I wanted to look at this house, but, you know, I don't know if if you're aware of this, that homeowner has a nicer house than me, therefore inequity, therefore it's kind of justified. Therefore, it's no big deal. It seems like a weird thing to shine a light on charges that bare minimum will be trespassing, but maximum could be felony burglary. So you have a mayor that's looking at potentially over a year in prison due to the fact that he's alleged to have committed burglary, and he might have actually been held hostage, or not hostage, but held up at gunpoint, awaiting the police to show up by one of his own constituents. Madness all the way around for the mayor of Fulton.
So you're guilty of the charges?
I think that's for the voters to decide.
Now this right here might be possibly the most troubling thing said by this mayor. It's one thing, I can tolerate it if you're a mayor, but also you're moonlighting as a part-time burglar. It's one thing if you saw a nice house by the water and you thought, you know what, I'm going to get out and take off my official Mayor Fulton pin and put on my robbery mask and go in and try to steal from that place. But I will be damned if a representative of our country, even as lowly as a mayor in a small area of the country, doesn't realize that the voters do not decide whether or not you're guilty or not. The person who is deciding, or the persons who decide whether or not you're guilty, is a jury of your peers. Now, I would be very happy if they brought in a council of mayors to decide whether or not he was guilty. That would be amusing, but these would actually be the residents of Fulton, who may or may not actually be voters in their mayoral election. Now, I do think it would be funny if the evidence was overwhelming, undeniable, and all 12 members actually voted guilty on him. However, he ended up for re-election, and they all seemed to be loyalists, but they also had, a little bit of issue with the burglary that he committed. How funny would it be if he got convicted of this burglary, and then people started running ads with his smiling face in his mugshot, yet he won election again? Stranger things have definitely happened, and since they haven't reached out to the homeowner yet, we have no idea whether or not the homeowner has decided that he's gonna vote for this guy. Now look, as of right now, I have no information at all on what the mayor is accused of stealing. However, I do know that eventually he was put up on $11,000 bond, and he was released shortly after posting that bond. I find that incredibly interesting and compelling, living in a state where it's actually quite difficult to hold people accused of crimes like this on a bond, that in Georgia at least, they seem to have a system where if you're charged with the felony, you're gonna have to lay down some collateral, although again, it would be funny for the mayor to flee the city or flee the state to avoid burglary charges. The mayor also said in an interview that he wants to thank the South Fulton police and staff and officers at Rice Street for courteous and professional service throughout the day. I actually think that's quite decent of him to say that. I didn't like his comments to the local news about the inequities or whatever, but at least he says, you know what, the police department that I'm technically in charge of, at least indirectly, they treated me well, and I appreciate that. It's nice that we don't have a blaming of the police in this scenario, although I'm sure if I decided to dig out the dumbest take possible, I could definitely find that. Now, in this article, they actually quote some of the supporters of the mayor, and I just want to say, I'm so excited to read this quote to you. So this comes from Rayshard Snellings, who was outside the jail when he was released, and the quote is as follows. Quote, Mayor Khalid is a passionate mayor. He uses his tagline a lot. The people know him as the people's mayor. He genuinely cares for the people, Snelling said. Now, I hope this is true. I hope that the mayor actually feels that deeply about his constituents. I'm a little bit dubious on the notion, considering he was just arrested for entering the home illegally of one of those constituents, but it is a very nice sentiment to be expressed about the mayor as he is being released from jail on charges of robbing one of the citizens. But he's the people's mayor. He is the burglar's choice, the top tier expert in his field, not only at mayoring, but also at burglarizing, although he did get caught on what might be his first attempt. Listen, overall, this story doesn't have a lot of substance to it. I just think it's funny. That's why I'm covering it. I know that burglaries are up in some parts of the country and all of that, but if I tried to paint some statistical noise on top of this, it would obfuscate from the fact that I find this story incredibly amusing in multiple different ways. This is like Rob Ford smoked crack minus about 10x in the funny scale, but I still enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still supportive of it in terms of a story, not in terms of him burglarizing his own constituents. and I will be following this story all the way till the end of time. I will be locked in on it. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me, the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the mayor of South Fulton getting arrested for burglary in South Fulton. Till next time.